Yeah. Step in the circle, queens rise and glow. We talk truth, let the inner light show. Real ones link, we ain't moving alone. Faith, fire, purpose, built in the bone. Mind on mission, heart stay aligned. Sisterhood strong, power redesigned. Checking in weekly, spirit refined. We break through the noise, wisdom divine. Hey,
Sisterhood check-ins happen to light. God in the light, though, we fight the good fight.
No mask, no shame, come as you are. From broken to bold, yeah, we're raising the bar.
Sisterhood check-ins happen to light. This ain't just talk, we walk with the word.
Faith in motion, fly like a bird. Every episode of Spark, get back on your feet. Led, clarity, power, purpose, peace. Chains fall down and the cycle cease. Every queen tuned in, know you belong. You're chosen, equipped, and spiritually strong. Sisterhood checking, vibe don't lie. Built from the pain, but we rise so high. In the middle, we fight the good fight, no mask.
Hey yo, Sisterhood check-ins happen to light. God in the light, now we fight the good fight.
No mask, no shame, come as you are. From broken to bold, yeah.
Welcome to Sisterhood Check-In. I'm your author and coach, Nadira Lewis, and it is Friday. Woo! I'm excited, guys, because tonight I am going to bring to you guys a special guest that some of you may know, but I know a lot of you have not met this amazing man, Dr. Casual Pitts. He is a kingdom entrepreneur doing amazing things out here in these streets. So I cannot wait to be able to dialogue with him and to share some of the things that God is doing with him in his life. So before I actually start, if you're watching me on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. If you're watching me on Facebook, Instagram, or any of the other platforms, go ahead and click like and share so that others can be able to get it, so that the algorithm can include us and allow us to be able to be pushed out to people that can really hear what we're going to be talking about today. So before I actually introduce Dr. Pitts, I'm going to go ahead and play this quick video real quick. And then when I come back, we'll have Dr. Pitts right with us. I'll see you after this. We are living in a time where true wisdom is rare. We have all kinds of opinions, voices pulling us in different kinds of directions. But where is the clarity? Where is the counsel from the Lord? Wisdom is not just about making good decisions. We are living in a time where true wisdom is rare. We have all kinds of opinions, voices pulling us in different kinds of directions. Okay, so I tried to play this video. I don't know if you were able to see it. Were you able to see it on your side, Dr. Pitts? Okay. You can't hear me? Okay, good. So apparently I tried to play this video, wouldn't play. So we're going to go ahead. Hopefully we'll be able to play it later on in the video. But guys, why don't you, to all of you who are new to watching Sisterhood Check-In, and for those of you who have been continuously watching, Mr. Casual, Dr. Casual Pitts, welcome to Sisterhood Check-In. It's a blessing to be able to have you. How are you this evening?
Listen, Nadara, I am amazing. God is always good. There's no complaints on my end. And I always say, even if I did complain, nobody would listen anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? It's a pleasure to be able to have you here, because I know you're busy and you're doing a lot of amazing things. So I don't take it for granted that you've taken the time to be able to dialogue with me today. So help my audience, and for those of you that don't know you, which I'm sure there's very few, but help my audience understand who Dr. Pitts is, and how did you become this man that you are today?
Woo! Listen, I'm gonna keep it real short and sweet. Okay, uh, I've been an entrepreneur since I was 7. I'm
Mhm.
currently 41, just turned 41 October the 18th, and this has been my journey since then. Entrepreneurship. I've had my roads of ups and downs, and the trials and tribulations, the good, the bad, the ugly. But once I started to put God first in my life and in the things that I did. And it didn't mean that because I put him first, that things started to
Mhm.
go perfect for me. But
Right.
things started to shift, things started to break, relationships started to build, doors
Mhm.
started to open, all because I did start to put him first in my
Mhm.
life. So I always like to tell people without all the accolades, without all the things that I've done, I'm a server first, right? And I had to learn to understand that that's the reason why I'm in this position as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur for other entrepreneurs, is to serve them the best way that I know how. So because of the trial and error, because of all of the things that I went through, I don't want these entrepreneurs to make the same mistake that I did, because I promise you, the way that the world is now, technology, situations and circumstances are completely different than it is almost 30 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree. And I think everybody that enters entrepreneurship enters for different reasons and different seasons. Some people go into entrepreneurship because of some of the dynamics of what they went through life. And I always say that the biggest people that are the biggest givers are the ones that have gone through something, the ones that understand what it's like. It's not always the people that have a lot. Sometimes the people that have little decide, okay, I'm going to do something, I'm going to make an impact, because of some of the things that they've done. I know that, when you said because of different, things that happen in your life, but talk to us about some of those things that really, like, because I think that entrepreneurship, some people might wake up and say, I want to start a business, right? But what happened in your life that caused you to say, you know what? Because you said servitude, you wanted to serve.
Right.
What was it in your life that made you say, you know what? I want to do this on a bigger scheme. I want to help more people, and I want to just go beyond, because you impact a lot. I mean, millions and millions of people. You're all over the world. Every time I look at you, you're traveling,
Yeah,
and not only are you building business, but you're building kingdom businesses. So talk to us a little bit about where that came from. Like, what made you
absolutely.
want to do it on a bigger impact, on a bigger scale?
Absolutely. You know, when I first started the journey of entrepreneurship, level of transparency, I was chasing that bag. And that's just all
Mm,
I was chasing that money.
yeah.
I had a skill set. I knew exactly what I knew what I wanted.
Hmm.
And I was chasing the nice car. I was chasing wanting to have nice things and wanting to make sure that my bank account was right. And
Hmm.
while that was an experience, that still wasn't the way. So because
Mm.
I was chasing the bag and I got the opportunity to experience that, I ran into loopholes. I ran into issues. I ran into problems. And I said,
Mhm.
okay. And the most important thing, I kept hitting a glass ceiling, right?
Mm.
So I said, okay, how am I going to change this dynamic? And then personal development started to kick in, right? Okay,
Mhm.
now let's read the books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Let's start going to workshops. Let's start going to seminars. And even then, I thought that, wow, okay, this is the next phase, right? And
Mhm.
even the personal development, I still hit another glass ceiling. So I went from chasing the money to now getting having that personal development in place. And then it was like, okay, well, God, what am I doing wrong? And God was it was like one of those things where he was just leaning and he was just tapping his hands on the desk and saying, it's me, right? So it
Mm.
wasn't until I had to understand the dynamics, because, and I think all entrepreneurs do this, where I will sit and I'll ask an entrepreneur from the show of hands, and we always start here because this seems to be the sweet spot for us. How many of you have 5 businesses or more? And you would be shocked of the hands that go up, because that's how I was, right? I was this entrepreneur who had all of these businesses. But it wasn't until I understood that, number one, once I implemented God into my situation, and this is where entrepreneurs have to be careful when you do this, because you think that when you put God in, everything is just gonna, it's good now. Oh no. When I added God, he was like, I need you to write this down. And for those that are listening to this now, I want you to pay attention to what I'm about to say. But if you write follow going down, not across, I'm sorry, not follow, focus. I'm sorry. FOCUS, going down, right? Focus. And now going across, you're going to put follow one course until successful. And that's when I understood that all of the stuff that I was doing, I was just being busy. I was not busy and productive. And that was the issue, right? I was just this busy person. So everybody used to say, oh, Dr. Pitts is busy. But that's all I was. I was busy and not productive. So I had to follow that one course until I was successful at it, meaning what? Once I made that $1 million in that first business, then I moved to the second and the third and the fourth. Why? Because in that first business, I created the blueprint. In that first business, I created the resources. In that first business, I had the network. So it was easy for me to go into that second business and then take that blueprint and apply it to that second business, right? Because the principles are the same. The dynamics of the business changes, but the principles are the same. So once I understood that, then I became productive and busy, right? So I became busy and productive. So my execution. So once I implemented God, it was, I no longer started to chase the bag. I was strong on my personal development for self and for God. And I became a server. And that's when things started to shift for me, where now I no longer wanted to be rich. I wanted to be wealthy, right? And then once I understood what wealth was, now I'm in the season where now I'm starting to build dynasty legacies, right? Not just a legacy, dynasty legacies. And what a legacy, Nadara, is something that you and I leave for our kids, right? Nadara is leaving a legacy for her children. I'm leaving a legacy for that's a legacy. But a dynasty legacy is when now I'm saying, I want to help Nadara now leave her dynasty legacy. I want to now help Donna leave her dynasty legacy. And now it's no longer about me, right? It's about anybody that's in my inner circle, like my circle, Jamie, K-Shari, right? So my assassin. So those are the people that I'm now working for. It's for Dr. Pitts anymore. I'm doing it for my culture, right? I want to help my culture leave a dynasty or duplicate what I'm doing so they can do it for others, because that's how we get to that level a lot faster, is if we learn how to help each other get to that next level. So
yeah, I definitely agree. I think I like the way Myron Golden says is that it's important for you to be, do, have. And I think what happens is, even in entrepreneurship, there's this desire, this overwhelming desire to do and have. I want to do something for people. I want to do something, but not realizing, and you said something that was important, the personal development. I think personal development is critical, because you can't, if you're not developed in certain areas of your mindset, when it comes to why you're doing what you're doing, then what happens is your identity begins to get locked into what you're doing. And then when people pull you to the side and they ask you questions that have to do with your why, then what happens is people get lost and they're like, I'm just doing this. And so when you ask people, who are they? The first thing they say is, I'm a nurse, or I'm a mom, or I'm gonna do this. I'm a this, I'm a that. But what you do flows from who you are. And I think when you take the time to develop, which a lot of entrepreneurs, maybe some of them know, I can't really put everybody in a box, but I know for me, I realized that I was only going to go as far as my mind. Right. I knew that I was only going to be able to develop or even become, because like you say, you can be busy, but not really become impactful, right? Because you can be busy but not necessarily impactful, right? And so you could be doing, and I think what happened is when I started to slow down and I started to realize that, wait a minute, once I become the person that I need to be, then everything else is, it just flow, it just happens, right? As a result of that, you don't even have to struggle or have to hustle, as some people say, because what happens is it starts to be attracted to you. The things, the people that you're supposed to be impactful to, they'll start seeking you out, right? You won't have to, go out here and try to be screeching walls or try to make yourself important to people, trying to show who you are. Sometimes I realize that when you just focus on getting to know God, that's one of the things that God showed me, is that when you focus on him and he begins to show you who he is, right?
Yep.
You begin to see how you play in his picture, and you start to see like, oh, okay, this is how I fit in the kingdom. And so now I can take what God has shown me about me, and now I can start, and then next thing you know, you're creating products and services. you're
Yep.
you're connecting, you're starting to produce things out of who you are, versus you just trying to do stuff just to jump on the bandwagon because you want to get that bag, right?
Right.
And you might get that bag, right? But most people who are getting the bag without doing this first, and I talked about this several times on the podcast, is that in the world, they tell you to just go after your goal, go after your goal, go after your dreams, go, 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 right? The problem with that is most people who go after their dreams first and go after their goals, they do go and they get there, right? But some of them lose their mind on the way.
Hmm.
Some of them, the money literally destroys them, it destroys their family.
Yeah.
And God started to show me recently, 2 years ago, when you seek after him first, right? When you
Mhm.
seek first the kingdom of God, then everything that you need will be added to you. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you just sit back and everything falls in your lap. It means
Right.
that things begin to align. When you begin to align with the will of God for your life, then he shows you how to take that plan. And that's where entrepreneurship comes in. Because
Hmm.
now you're taking that plan that he's shown you, and now you're taking it and serving your gifts through your gifts and talents to the world.
Absolutely. 100%. 100%.
Yes. I think the story that I've always admired when I first met you, you talked about when you first started entrepreneurship with your dad. And I
Mhm.
thought that was so amazing, because you tell us the story of
Yeah.
how when you were younger, and I think you said you were living in New York. I think,
Yeah.
was it in New York? And you were
Yeah.
talking about that was like really interesting. Share with the audience of what that experience was like, because that was pretty funny.
Yeah, that was it was a change in my life, right? My dad,
Yeah.
I worked with my dad. He was back at that time, rubber roofing was a thing. Okay. It was a solution to mobile homes where my dad would put rubber roofs on mobile homes. And we did this one job. It was a really extensive job, and my dad paid me $500 for this job. So he handed
Mhm.
me $500. Now I'm 7 years old and I got this $500. I'm saying to myself, okay, so what I'm gonna do with all of this money, right? I didn't want to buy shoes, I didn't want to buy clothes. I thought about, well, wait a minute, candy store, like dynamics of my friends not being able to go to the candy store. I'm like, well, man, maybe I could be the candy man, right? Maybe I could be the candy man. So I opened up my own candy store at 7 years old. I had a black card
Wow.
table. I would sell candy outside. And I did that from 7 all the way up until I was 9. And then
Mhm.
that's when my dad got a building where we lived at the bottom level. I'm sorry, we
Mhm.
lived at the top level, and the bottom level was like a storefront, right? He was using it
Mhm.
for storage. And I say, well, Dad, listen, let me get the bottom. Because it's everybody knows in Chicago and New York, it's cold. It gets cold outside in the
Oh
winter,
yeah.
right? So I knew that I wasn't selling candy at that time. So I if I had a storefront of, a brick and mortar, then I'm sure people would come into the brick and mortar and buy from me. And that's what I did, right? So from 9 years old, my dad said, if you can pay the light bill, you can have it. You can use it.
Wow.
And I was 9 years old, and that's where the journey started to take off. I had a storefront underneath where we lived at in our building in New York. Yep.
Wow. So all of you parents who have kids that want that are starting to say, I want to sell candy and stuff, you might be, you might have your little small millionaire like Dr. Pitts that's in the making, right? That's because my son Christian did that. Christian, let me tell you something. I knew Christian was an entrepreneur when he started selling coupons in the store to the people in the store. I knew. I was like, oh yeah, he's an entrepreneur for real. Cause he would be
Right.
like, when he was like 14, he was like, Mom, I want to have my own phone. And T-Mobile had the kids plan at that time where I think it was like $25 a month for unlimited talk and text. And we were living in Florida. And I told him, I said, son, I said, if I get you, I said, how are you going to pay for this phone? Because I'm not going to pay for this phone because I wanted them to think and be creative. And I didn't want them to just have this mindset that everything is just given to them. I wanted to develop them into entrepreneurs because I was one, right? That's all they knew. And
Right.
so he said, Mom, just buy me a bag of candy and I'm going to take it to school. I said, if you sell this bag of candy, I'll give you, I'll go ahead and get you a phone.
Right.
Christian came home and that candy was sold. And I thought, okay, maybe this is just a little one-time thing. But when that joker went in the grocery store and made money, the little coupons that you pull off, he was selling them to the people in the store. And I thought, who does that? Like, he's a real entrepreneur. Okay. So I had them jokers on the assembly line when I started my own skincare products. They was on the assembly line when I was doing my stuff. And that's what they knew. So if you're a parent out there and you have children that desire to generate their own income, it's not just about them just making the money. They are learning how to serve other people because that's exactly what you're doing. That's what entrepreneurship and business is serving other people. And when you look at it that way, you won't focus on just the bag. The bag will just be a result of your servitude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So does your kids have that same type of entrepreneurship type of mentality, or are they kind of like, oh, Dad, you're the bag man?
Listen, not yet. I would say my little one, his name is Carson. I think he's probably the closest one because what he's learning. I will say what he's learning at his age, and he's 8.
Okay.
He holds on to his money, baby. He know how to save.
Oh, I got one of them. Oh yeah,
baby. He got a little stack and like this. And I'm talking about he'll be like, I'm like, what about your money? He's like, never mind, then I don't want it. I'm like, well, I'm good. I'm good. So I see a pattern there. That's one because this is what I always say. When you respect money, money will respect you. And because he has it in the mindset, like I'm saving this because there may be either a time that I really, really need to use it, or there may be something that I really, 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 really want, right? And those kind of behaviors create investment opportunities, an investment mindset,
yes, I agree,
a longevity mindset. So it's cute that he understands that. Right now it's about directing him on how to get more of that, right? So I'll itch and say, hey, if you do this, I'll say you want to make some money, and he's always open to that, right? So so because he has that mindset of wanting to make more, I'm sure that he'll catch it. He'll get a rhythm of really finding out what it is that he really wants to do. But right now, I'm glad that he's enjoying 8 years old because he's doing something that I didn't get a chance to do, which I don't regret it. If I did it all over again, I would do the same thing that I did. But I'm glad that he's enjoying being a kid.
Yeah. I had a friend of mine growing up that when I lived in Florida, and one of the things I used to love watching her, because I think you can learn from other parents and learn how to, what to implement in your family life that's going to help. And I saw her do something with her kids that always stuck with me. And she said, she would tell her kids before you get anything new, because she was teaching them not only the importance of managing their money, but she would tell them before you have like everything you have in here, let's learn how to give away what you have before we get something new. And that was her way of teaching them servitude. So it doesn't matter. You don't have to, you can do this on any level, right? You teaching your kids about servitude, because I think that changes the dynamics of how they see money. Right. Because if they see money as, because they'll see it from a lack perspective where, we don't never have, we just this and this and that, or they can see it from a perspective as money is used as a tool to help serve other people. It's a tool. When you look at it as a tool, then how you manage it and how it is totally different, right? You're not hoarding it for yourself, right? You're not taking it and only thinking about you. When you know it's used for a tool, then it's easier for your kids, because they haven't developed that mindset when they're young to really know a whole lot about hoarding. They just know, okay, they're naturally giving, right? So if you teach them how to use it as a tool, then they'll grow up with the mindset of, okay, I've been doing this since I was a kid. I'm seeing my parents, my dad's doing it, my mom's doing it, giving things away, and it creates a sense of generosity, because I think that's the part of entrepreneurship that we don't really talk about, right? We talk about the making the bag, right? We don't talk about the character development that comes as a result of that, because you got a lot of arrogant, wealthy folks, right?
Man.
Arrogant, wealthy, and then you have some people, and you got some arrogant, poor folks too, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
works both ways. And I
Yeah.
like the way that you said that wealth is, you learned the difference between wealth, because wealth is not the same as riches. Now you can have riches, but when I'm teaching my girls now at a young age about what that actually looks like in their form of understanding, so that they're not having the mindset, because we grew up from up north. You know how it is. You grew up in New York, right? We
Yeah.
got that go get it, that grind mindset, right? And I don't want them to feel, I don't want the bag to be the thing that's on their mind. I want them to be thinking, how can I serve other people? And as a result of that, it's going to produce the bag, right? Then they can get out of that hustle for a dollar mode, because folks be hustling you. It ain't gotta be a lot. They'll hustle you out of $5-10.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. They sure will. They sure will. And I think too, individuals really need to understand that, there's a massive difference, because I get it all the time. Well, Dr. Pitts, what's the difference between rich and what's the difference between being wealthy? Well, rich means you can buy what you want today, right? That's what rich means. Rich means that I can buy whatever I want today. But wealth means that you can buy, let me rephrase it different. Wealth means that you can walk away, build a legacy, and your money works for you long term after you stop working, right? So I can do something so powerful one time, right? And never have to work again, because that one thing that I've done will now pay me for a lifetime. And I'll give you the example of those particular wealthy individuals: Amazon, Walmart, McDonald's, right? Those are wealth builders, right? So I'll give you guys a quote to take with you. And it's: being rich is about your income. Being wealthy is about your influence, your freedom, and the legacy you leave behind. Don't just chase money, build wealth that outlives you. Right? Build wealth that outlives you.
That's really good. And I think that you have to be a selfless type of person to even think like that, right? Because especially most people, especially in our culture, we're thinking about what we have right now in the moment, right? And I'm starting to see now that, there are a lot more of our people that are getting educated. They're getting nowadays it's a lot easier to make money, right? And to be able to do those things like create wealth and longevity and things like that. Where back then, when we were growing up, we didn't really, they had what we call old money, right? And so it was like to them, it was like my grandfather worked 50-40 years, and bought this house and worked, and waited for their pension and stuff like that. Now you got young millionaires rising up before you, everywhere you go, because there's so much knowledge that's out there that's helping. I think one of the biggest things that's not talked about either is the stewardship, because we got a lot of people building, wealth, and we got a lot of. I was watching this lady, and she talked about how she was homeless and how she had just started her business in the t-shirt industry,
Okay.
and she said she had made like $1,000 in her first week, and she had got evicted out of her home. And she was thinking like, oh man, I just started to get my business going and now I'm evicted. So she put all of her things in storage, and she said she saw another family that was in there and they were living inside the storage. And she said she started to realize, man, there's always going to be somebody that's going to be worse than me. So that encouraged her to keep going, because she was like, man, I'm evicted. My business is just developing. She said she would just turn on TikTok and she would just talk literally all day and literally just, and just pray that people would give her gifts and stuff. And she
Mhm.
said, then out of the blue, she realized like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go hard. And I'm going to, because I have to think about my kids. And she said
Right.
she was a single mom. She had to, one of her kids, she had to send to the father, and another kid she had to send somewhere else. And she said it was that motivation. It was selflessness. I have to
Mhm.
make sure that I succeed for the sake of my kids. And now she makes 20 million a month.
Whoa.
A month. A
Dang.
month. And I'm
Woo.
thinking like she said, and every day, so the lady that was interviewing her asked her like, what is your drive? Like, and she said, my drive is when I saw that family living in the storage unit, I thought, I never want to be at a place where my kids would have to, and I would have to live. And she said, and I'm one procrastination, I'm one decision, I'm one lazy step away from being there. And she says, so every day I get up with the mindset. So her hustle is not just about the bag. It's like, if I don't help other people, because this is how I'm getting my money as a result of helping people. So I got to help more people so that I can be able to stay where I need to be. And now this lady is like teaching other people how to make money. She's making 20 million a month. Black lady, young black lady, 35. But
Wow.
this is the point that I was making and bringing that story up when I was talking about stewardship, because she said when she made her first couple of $1 million, the first thing she did was she went and started buying all this stuff, right?
Mhm.
Stuff she never had, stuff she just started buying, everything that she ever dreamed about when she didn't have any money. So
Yep.
she went down this slope of almost going broke again. And
Yep.
then she had to get with a mentor. My question to you is how do you, and I know you probably feel the same way, but help my listening audience understand the importance of having a mentor, somebody that can help you steward, the things that you have. Because like I said, people are making it, people are becoming TikTok millionaires overnight. You have
Yep.
people that are doing all kinds of HSN and QVC stuff on Instagram and making the money. Talk to us about how important it is to have mentorship to help you steward your wealth.
So listen, that part right there is when people ask me, hey, what would you do differently? What would you do differently if I had to start all over? What would I do differently? It would
Mm-hmm.
be get a mentor. And the reason why I say that is because I didn't get my mentor until I was like 33. I'm 41, guys. So when I say
Mm.
I'm blessed that again going through those experiences, but I'm also blessed that God God was my mentor without me even knowing that he was my mentor, right?
Mhm, mhm,
But he started to send the mentors. Now I got over 10 mentors in my life that right
mhm,
that
mhm,
hold me accountable, that expect me to execute in a certain way. So
mhm,
now mentorship is vital, right? When I understood how vital it was at 33, I'm
mhm,
telling everybody that is listening to me now,
mhm,
whether you're watching live or you're gonna watch the replay, please stop what you're doing in your journey. Grab you a mentor. And when I say grab you a mentor, your mentor typically does not have to be as successful as you want them to be, right?
Talk about it.
Their
Talk about it.
it has to be the mindset, right?
Yes,
It has to
yes.
be the mind. Their mindset has to be bigger than you and them, right?
Mhm,
And if their
mhm,
mindset is bigger than you and them, then they can expand your mind to be that big picture that they're trying to help you create, right? Now,
Mm.
if you're able to find somebody that can do that and they're in a place of wealth that you want to get to, that becomes
Yeah.
a bonus, right?
Yeah.
Because then what they're able to implement extra, and that's the reason why you're supposed to have more than one mentor, right?
Absolutely.
Right? Because every mentor is not going to give you, I mean, the one mentor is not going to give you everything, right? So if you are in a space, in a place of real estate, you have to have a real estate mentor. But if you're
Mhm.
making the money, then you got to have a financial mentor, right?
Mhm.
So there's supposed to be a mentor for everything that you're doing in your business and in your life, right? A
Mhm.
relationship, supposed to have a relationship mentor, somebody who can help
Mhm.
you navigate through those areas. So it is vital, guys. Please, if there's anything that you can do differently in your life, I'm a mentor to many. So I'm
Mhm.
grateful. I'm grateful that people are looking up to me. But remember that when you get a mentor, to become a mentor, understand that you're taking on a level of responsibility, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
in that level of responsibility, you got to have somebody that's going to hold you, that's going to have that accountability to hold you against, right? So it is vital that if you want to be successful in anything that you do, having a mentor is a key component. That's an ingredient. I always like to tell people that would say, well, what is the keys to success? What is the ingredients to success? It's just like people who a cook or chef who knows how to make macaroni and cheese. We all have
Mhm.
our own way of doing it, right?
Mhm.
We all use different ingredients, but
Mhm.
the base is still the same, which is what? The noodles and the cheese. That
Yes.
never changes, right? It's noodles and cheese. That's like now everything else as far as for your seasonings, like your milk, your butter, all that, those are all different ingredients. So what am I saying to you? That success has different ingredients. One of the key ingredients, mentorship. If you do not have
Mm.
mentorship in your ingredients of success, that is the
Mhm.
reason why you're not as successful as you should be. Guys, let go of the pride, let
Yeah.
go of the whatever it is that you're going through, whatever it is you're doing, let all of that go. And I promise you, implement a mentor of whoever that person is to help them guide you in your journey, because I promise you, it feels great to talk to somebody about what's going on up here and in here.
Mhm. That's true because I think why a lot of people don't really have mentorship, genuine mentorship, is because they can't see beyond. They just look at the external part of it. And
Yeah.
they don't really look at the fact that there's some impartation that takes place. There are some mindset shifts that take place when you're in the midst that you may not even thought about. Sometimes it's just you being in the midst of people. Most of my um mindset growth has been at a very early age in my life. And it's simply because of the type of people that I've been around, right? And has mentored me that I didn't even realize. I can remember having mentors even as a teenager, right? Before I even went into business, I started to see when I look back at my life as a teenager, watching my aunt always positioning me in places, right? To where I was always learning something and not realizing by the time I got like 17, 18, well, people will be like, man, you have a mindset of an older person. Like you seem like and that's where this whole wisdom journey has begun for me because I realized it started when I started to expose myself to different people to see how to cultivate different mindsets, even in different environments, right? And so I think there's a lot of validity to what you're saying. So when I started to realize how valuable that was, that took my business to a whole nother level. I've never I'm not against going to school for anything that you because please, if you're going to the doctor, if you're going to be a doctor, please go to school. Please,
Yeah.
please, right?
Please,
If you're going to
please.
be if you're going to be building bridges, please go to school, right? But there was an impartation that took place in my life that I didn't like. A lot of the things that I've started to learn, I never went to school for. A lot of it was like I had the gift and the creativity there, but the mentorship, the exposure opened up my mind in such a place to where I was able to expand things in my business. And I was looking like, wow, man, that was nobody but God. And so I started to realize very early, like, okay, I need to make sure that I position myself as long as I'm in this place around mentors that can pour into me, right? And then what happens is, I don't know if you feel this way, but once you're being poured into so much, you want to go and pour into other people. You are looking for people to
Yep.
pour into, because you realize success is not just about gaining material things. Success is doing what God told you to do, the way he told you to do it, because then that way you're not comparing yourself to the next person. You might be in two of the same businesses, right?
Yep.
But your success in your lane is different, because God has put you there to not just only help people, you know, create generational wealth, but to also help them to cultivate servitude.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
important, because everything that we're supposed to do it with the mindset of serving other people. And I think when we develop that mindset, then business becomes a byproduct, right?
Hmm.
Business, God, the very first thing that God told us that was that he was creative, right? That was the
Yep.
very first thing that he told us, in the beginning he created, right? So we know based in Genesis what type of God that what type of guy he was. And that helps us to understand that we're made in his image. We're made in his likeness. We have the ability to create, to take things and to shape them into what God. How do you think Adam was naming these animals?
Yeah.
Right? He
Yeah.
had to be able to. I know some people probably never put much thought in it, but I'm a thinker, so I'm thinking like, how did he just come up with all these names? And then I realized one of my mentors said something to me that really, again, my mentor said something to me that made me think. He said because he became one with God, and so everything he began to call the animal was in agreement with God had already called the animal to be. So when he said, you know, horse or cow, God, it was like it was an agreement to what he was doing, what God was telling him to do. Right?
Yeah.
He was in tune. And I think when we're in tune with God, he begins to show us how to operate kingdom entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. 100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna give Dr. Pitts a chance to wipe some of that sweat off his face and get something to drink. And we're going to play this quick video really quick. Hopefully I tried to play the video before, but anyway, but we're going to go ahead and try this again. And we're going to play this video real quick. Get you some coffee, because Dr. Pitts is dropping some gems. Get you a notebook. And it's funny, Dr. Pitts, when I think this was like, I want to say this was like in 2005, I think it was, I met a young man that was 20 years younger than me.
Mm.
And he said to me, I'll never forget it. He introduced me to somebody that was his mentor. And I came with nothing. And he said to me, he said, Nadira, he pulled me to the side. He said, you never come in the midst of somebody who has the ability to pour into you. You don't do them a dishonor without bringing a notebook and a pad. He
Yeah.
said, you do them a dishonor when you get in their presence and you don't at least write down some of the things that they say. And I was like, I was like, okay. And I never forgot that. So make sure y'all get y'all pen and paper, because we have somebody who has walked this journey, right? Who is doing it, not just talking the talk, but actually walking the walk and making impact. So I'm going to play these videos really quick, but I want you to go get your paper and your pen, call up your girlfriends and tell them Sisterhood Check-In is on the air. And we'll be right back after this.
Step in the circle, queens rise and glow. We talk true.
I see you carrying everyone else's burdens while your own heart is breaking. Don't Die in the Storm isn't just a book. It's permission to put yourself first.
I felt lost when I lost my loved one. I felt hopeless and didn't know where else to turn. I felt numb because of the pain. I didn't want to talk to anyone.
Nadira speaks, her voice carves the air. Proverbs painting pictures, stories laid bare. She moves mountains with the flick of a prayer. Lessons of the word, truthfully. Nadira speaks, her voice carves the air. Proverbs painting pictures, stories laid bare. She moves mountains with the flick of a prayer. Lessons of the word, truth leaves there. Parables weaving through beats that don't stop. Wisdom dripping down like rain on the block. Holy Spirit whispers, hands on the clock. Life lessons knocking, door unlocked. Yeah, scripture in the veins, running through the flow. Life's foundation, roots that grow. The Spirit moves where the mind can't go. Biblical wisdom is all I know.
All of joy, let it cover my soul. Let the scent of redemption make my heart whole. I wear His promise. I wear His peace. The essence of a woman, bold, yeah, me. Oh, the oil of joy is the fragrance of me.
All right, and we are back here on Sisterhood Check. And I don't know if you guys saw all the commercials. It was running slow on my end. For hopefully you were able to see it. But for those of you that are just joining, we have here Dr. Casual Pitts here. Kingdom Entrepreneurship is what we're talking about. And for those of you that have seen the commercial or it may have cut out, make sure you grab my book, Essence of a Woman. You can get it at www.coachingwithnadira.com. And Dr. Pitts has also written a book, which if you look down at the bottom of the screen, he's doing pre-orders for his book on email address to God. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Pitts. So talk to us about this book. You've written a book and you've already at over 100, oh my goodness, pre-orders of your book. Talk to me about this book. What sparked this email address to God? I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so Nadira, a lot of people don't know. So this is my second book that I wrote, and I have my own theology of books, right? So my first book I wrote was Mindset, right? And there was an acronym to Mindset. And I wrote that book in 2023. Mm-hmm. And I said, hey, I'm not writing my second book until I sell 50,000 copies, because 50,000 copies generated $1 million for me, right? And the reason why that was my theology is because even after I sold 50,000 copies, I can still go out and talk to somebody and say, hey, do you got the book mindset? And they're going to tell me no. Right. So, and my theory is that before I write my next book, I got to make $1 million with the first one at least. Right. So that's my journey. So once that happened, then God said, okay, now your second book, I want you to expose how people can be more in tune with me. Right. And it came from the scripture of the foolish things will confound the wise. And that scripture led to my book, The Email Address to God, because people would think that, Dr. Pitts, that's foolish for you to create an email address that's titled godandcasual@gmail.com. And I started to email God all of the things that we needed to do in regards for business, life, like my problems, everything that I was dealing with, all my issues, all my problems, all of the things that I wanted to get accomplished in life. I started to email God these things. And I promise you that the more that I spent, and that's all it really is, right? Is spending time with him. However you spend time with him is your way of spending time. My time of spending time. And I think what happens is the reason why a lot of people don't spend as much time with God is because they feel like, well, God hear me praying all the time, or, I'm going to church and I'm going to Bible study. But see, I promise you that when you pull up an email and you start emailing God, your time becomes a little bit more personal, because when you hit the send button, you feel like it sticks, right? It's not just an open prayer, for a fact. And what I love about the email address to God, or creating that email address, is that now you have a dialogue, you have a journal, you have something to reference back to. You have something to say to yourself that when he starts to make things come true in your life, you can say, you know what? That was because I remember that two months ago, when I emailed him this, look at my receipt, right? And what happens when you're able to do that, who gets the glory? He does. And the more glory, the more that he's glorified, the more people will follow him, the more people who will explore and test his love for you. So I know for a fact, Nadara, that this book right here, I'm talking about all 55 pages, right? All 55 pages of this book. Like literally, like I think my mindset book was like well over 200 pages, but this book is only 55 pages, and I promise you that this book here is way more powerful than anything that I can even write moving forward, because the simple principles in this book, this is like one of those books that when you go into Walmart and they got that little stand and you can buy books. See, this is one of those books where you'll be able to carry this with you for the rest of your life and reference to this book, utilize this book, pull scriptures out of this book, pull quotes out of this book, and it literally can be an additional guide to remind you that God loves you, he appreciates you, he wants you closer to him, and by any means necessary for you to get on your knees or spend that intimate time with him, this book will remind you to just take a little bit of time out of your day, out of your life, and just talk to him. And just like how we talking, just talk to him. So God doesn't make any mistakes. I know that what he's about to do with me with this book is nothing short but him getting all the glory.
I love the fact that you're strategy driven, because I think, and when I say strategy driven, meaning you just don't just say this is what you need to do. You actually walk people through the steps and say, and that's what I admire about you, is that when people come to you for advice and they say, Dr. Pitts, what do I need to do, in regards to my life? What do I need to do in regards to my business? You're able to point to a strategy. and say, and I say that, and I've gotten that because I realized that as we started talking in the beginning, that you were just talking about how like your process and how you did that one business, and you realize this is what I've gained from this one business, and I just repeated that same thing in the next business. So I can see that strategy is just as important as it is
Yes.
for you just having the information, because if you don't have the strategy, which is the wisdom of God and the mentorship, and if you don't have that, then you just have an idea,
Right.
and that's it. You just have an idea, and then you just become busy and not productive and not impactful. So I love the fact that just even me watching you on the internet and just being, just talking with you, I love that you're giving people like, this is what you need to do. Not just you need to do this, but this is how you do it. This is how you do it. Step 1. This is
Yeah.
how you do it. Step 2. And if you do that, then you're going to see the results of that. Because I remember when we first met and we were at, Lenine House, and that was one of the things you told me about my book. And you were like, this is what you need to do. And I was like,
Yeah.
I love that. And it's funny
Yeah.
because even when I wrote this book because normally, when I was first writing my books, I was writing them, Dr. Pitts, from my experience, things that I've gone through. Because, and when you're taking baby steps into different arenas, you do things just, the way you could, right? The best that you know how. But when I came in contact with you and you were just sharing with me the wisdom and saying, your books should be courses, your books,
Yeah.
should be a way. I never forgot that, right? Um, even though we was eating all that food, I didn't forget, right? I listened and I thought about that. So when I wrote this book, The Essence of a Woman, I really took my time with this. And when I wrote it from that perspective. What can I show I know who I'm called to. So what can I teach them in
Yeah.
this book, and it just not be another book, because everybody's writing books and everybody has different things that they're contributing to the world. But what do I understand about who I am and what God has called me to do? What can I teach? And I've had people, I've given some books away and they were like, it's good. It's my book and I'm
Right.
still reading it. Like,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
and I started to understand that. So thank you for that, because I never forgot that.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. You know that, and that's the beautiful part about like what servitude is all about. And like guys, like I'm one of those people, and for those who have always, I don't think you will ever come and see me if it's my event. You
Mhm.
would never ever have to worry about coming to see me and paying thousands of dollars to get in the room with me, right? Because
Mm.
the information that I'm giving you, hey, if you took the time to probably go and sit in YouTube University or Udemy or whatever the case may
Mhm.
be, you probably could find some of that information, right? So I'm
Mhm.
not going to charge you thousands of dollars. That's not the cost for that, right? The cost, and that's
Mm.
what the cost of a ticket to come and see me, if it's $100 ticket, it's not even the cost for me to for me to give you just me, right? It's not even, that's not
Mhm.
even for my time. It's not even about my time.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for. What the cost is for is it's an investment for you. It's for yourself.
Mhm.
Because I want you to understand is that when you sow a seed into you, then that investment that's the tiller. That's what's tilling the ground for now the
Mhm.
doors to open up, because it's about being in the room with other people that can take you by the hand or give you some additional information to help you level up. It's not always about what I can provide and my time and what I
Mm.
have access to and the resource. No, it's about the people that are in the room. And Dara, I can tell you right now that everybody knows this, right? When you see me, you see Jamie. Jamie is probably, when I say she's so resourceful, she's
Mm.
resourceful, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing that I'm telling you. Like, she will connect you to people that
Mhm.
will like help you go to a whole nother level. Everybody that I've encountered has a story, has a position. Just think about it, Nadara. Like, think about all the people that us doing this now, right? Think about
Mhm.
all the people now that are going to follow you, that are people that are going to say, hey, can I be on your podcast? It's
Right.
expanding. People that are sharing.
Right.
That's what I love about. And guys, I'm going to leave you guys with 5 principles, but one of these principles is what I'm talking about now, is embrace collaboration over competition, right?
Mm.
And that's what I love about. That's the reason why I'm so successful, is because
Yeah.
I don't compete. I collaborate, and that's
Mm.
why
I like that.
my circle. Hey, we could do the same thing. How do we
Mhm.
focus on collaborating and not competing? Because when you can learn how to collaborate, then now money comes in for the both of you, because even
Right.
though we do the same thing, we're still doing it differently, because we're adapting to different audiences, different
Yes.
personalities, different dynamics, right? Different viewpoints. So
Mhm.
that's what I love about what I do, and why I can walk into any room and I can collaborate with anybody, because I don't walk in with competition. I am at
Yeah.
competition with nobody but myself. I am trying to better me. I don't care about what you're doing. I don't care about how we can do the same exact thing, and that's great.
Mhm.
I'm glad, I'm happy for you. How do we collaborate so we can make each other better? And when you can learn how to collaborate and not compete, oh man, the peace becomes peace, the stress becomes stressless, the depression becomes depressionless. I mean, you don't have to worry about no pressure, because you're not competing, you're collaborating. I'm telling you
Yeah.
now that if you guys just learn how to collaborate and stop competing,
Mm.
you won't have to worry. I always say this: when I walk into an environment and in a room and I see somebody who's doing an event that can be
Mhm.
similar to what I'm doing, or I am praising them, I am saying, wow, I love how they did this. I love how they do that. I love the way that they have this set up. And what am I doing? I'm taking those ideas and I'm saying that I'm going to implement this and I'm going to apply this. And why is that important? Because guys, we all learn from somebody.
Absolutely.
Everybody
Yeah.
that everything that we do in life, we learn from somebody and something. So
Yes.
it's always when you can, and I think the problem is that when you guys don't learn how to praise when somebody is doing
Mm.
something. Can you
Yeah.
imagine all the people, the best ideas, Nadara, live in the graveyard?
I believe that.
So
I
it's
believe that.
important to give people their flowers while they're living and praise them for what they're doing. Because this, what we do, this ain't easy.
It's
This,
not.
this ain't easy. I literally got off the last 3 weeks. I was on 5 flights, and it's 10 o'clock, 11
Mm.
o'clock at night, and I'm doing a pot. This is not easy.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving was yesterday, right? It's like
Yeah.
this is when you want to step into these shoes to feel the shoe of entrepreneurship, not your shoe size, the shoe
Right.
of entrepreneurship. You got to understand this comes with more than just making money. Like there
Right.
are
Right.
people that are watching you, that you are literally saving their lives, because you're
Mm.
giving them something that they can apply to not just their business, but to their everyday life. And for
Yeah.
me, that's what I live for now. That's where my life is laid on the line so somebody else's life can be saved.
Yeah. And I think gratitude is what produces that. I think gratitude removes the comparison thing, because most people are still finding their voice. They're finding their place in what it is that they feel like they're still trying to discover what they're supposed to be doing. And I would say to those people who are still struggling to find, because it happened to me, when I first started, I'm telling you, I wanted to give up so many times when I first started, in this whole coaching and blogging and everything that I'm doing now, even doing the podcast. I wanted to give up so many times. This will be 5 years in October. It was 5 years that I've been doing this podcast. And I almost wanted to delete a lot of my 2 years of my videos in the beginning, because there has been some moments where my guests have been where my internet just blanked out and my guest was waiting 10 minutes for me to try to get back on. But I say all that to say, when I realize I'm not just doing this for me, right? I'm doing this for the person that sees me doing it and saying, you know what, if she can do it, right? Then, and I started to be grateful. Yeah, things I could have, I would like to have better production. I'm doing everything. I'm the production girl. I spend the whole Friday doing everything. I do the graphics. I create the whole show, right? But what I realize is that when you start to really just be grateful and just slow down, right? So some learning can take place and realize that, you know what, you may not be where you want to be, but we're not in a race to get to a destination. We're supposed to be walking this journey, learning as we're growing, right? And being able to be an example to somebody, like you said, and say, you know what? Because you could have been like, look, I done been on 5 flights, Nadira. Look, I'm tired. I'm about to go to bed. But I appreciate your sacrifice to be able to show my audience and those that are listening to say, hey, look, if I can do this with the mindset of I'm serving other people, then you can do it too. Gratitude really takes us out of selfishness, because I think that's really, if you really want to be, let's just be real, it's just selfish. We are just selfish people, right? And selfishness is the groundwork for a lot of sadness, a lot of depression. And I'm not talking about clinical depression and things that are happening. I'm talking about sometimes we lose, especially here in America, right? We have so much and yet lack so much gratitude, right? That we don't know how to be appreciative of what God has already given us, but yet we always asking for more. Right. I want more. I want more of the bag. I want more. I want the bigger house. I want this. But what are you stewarding right now that's in your hand? One of the I had started partnering with God. I created a framework, and it's called the Wisdom Framework. And that Wisdom Framework, stewardship is a part of that framework, because I feel like it's important before you to learn how to manage, before you start wanting more, manage what you have. Let's make work what's in your hand, right? Because at the end of the day, when you think about the parable of the talents, it was always about stewardship, right? And what did God say to the one person that had the one talent? He called him wicked, because he didn't even have a lot of time. He had one, and God called him wicked, right? Because he wasn't even smart enough to take his one gift and put it in the hands of somebody that can multiply it. So at the end of the day, it's selfishness. Entrepreneurship, in order to be able to pursue entrepreneurship, you have to have a selfless mindset. But in order to get to that point, you have to be grateful for where you are.
Absolutely. And you know what, Nadara, just so a lot of times, and this is what I love about this, where I'm at in my life, right? I'm gonna one of the things I've learned that the churches are missing is that they do a lot of talking and they don't lead by example, right? And what I mean by that is examination, right? Examination, being able to showcase, show us what that looks like live. You say that you do these things, but what can you show us to prove to us that what you're saying that you do is actually real? So I'm going to show you guys what I mean when I say collaboration and not competition. So one of my mentees is on here. You're bringing her up on the screen, Chosen Culture. She has a book, okay? From healing to hustle, okay? So this is how, now we're here talking about my book, Nadara's book. This is what you call selflessness, right?
Yes.
This is what you call this is what you call proof in the pudding, showcasing, exposing other people on a platform. This is my interview, but this is what I do. I collaborate. Go get her book.
Yes,
go get her book. Why? Because this book is going to help save somebody that's going to read this, right? And you know what you're going to say? If it wasn't for me watching Nadara's podcast and watching Dr. Pitt's, not only did I get an opportunity to pick up Nadara's book or Dr. Pitt's book, but I also got another book that I was able to pick up. So go pick up this book. This is what I mean when I say learn how to collaborate and not.
It's power in partnerships. It's power in partnering, because there is no just one vision that involves just you, right? Everything that God has put on the inside of us is for someone else. And I think lack mindset is not just about not having enough funds or enough of what you want. It's having the mindset of, what do they call it in the business world? Gatekeeping. Right? We love to gatekeep because we feel like if I share this with you, it's again selfishness. I'm going to lose, but you can't lose as long as God is constantly downloading things inside of you. I remember one time, and I've told this for those of you that watch my podcast, I've told this before. I remember I was in a coaching program a couple of years ago, And there were some things. Here I was just getting out here, just trying to, do what I've always been doing, trying to promote, learn the internet world. And I remember I was discouraged because I was listening to everybody talk about how they made all this money. And it really revealed, like, and I started to get a little bit upset and I was offended. And I was like, well, God, I'm doing everything right. And how come I'm not seeing the results as da 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 da? And I started to pout. Like, I, for real, like, y'all, I pouted. Like, I got on my bed, got in a fetal position. This was like during COVID, got in a fetal position. And I was like, I'm just done. I'm just tired. I'm tired of hearing everybody and their things. And I'm doing this. And I promise you, as soon as I hit my head, I heard God say, get up. Like, it was loud, like, get up. And I laid my head and I bounced my head back up. And I'm like, what? Because, I don't know how these people be saying God be talking to them and they just be like, oh, no, God. He said, get up. And I got up.
Right.
Got up. And he said, I heard it clear as day. He said, right. And I'm thinking, so I got up and my office was in my desk, was in my bedroom at the time. And I sat at the table, at the little table I made into a desk. And I'm like, right. Okay, well, what am I going to write? I created 4 courses in 30 minutes. I didn't even, and in 4 courses, those 4 courses, I did exactly as he instructed me, because that's the key, because he always gives you strategy when he tells you to do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what happens is we don't see the strategy because we're looking for the next instruction. When he tells you to do something first, then he tells you how to do it. When you obey that, then your next instruction is at the end of that one. So when I did that instantly, Dr. Pitt, I made like almost $1,000 in like 30 minutes. And I said to myself, I was like speechless, like, what? I was like, and it was at that moment that I realized my journey, I can't compare my journey to someone else's journey, because success to me may be different to somebody else. Somebody else's success may be totally different. But to me, what I've learned in my journey of success is doing what God told you to do. Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to be in front of other people. I'm going to have to give an account to to the stewardship that he's expecting me based on to be able to operate in, based on what he gave me. That moment changed my life. So from that moment, it didn't matter what I went through, no matter how much my internet would just cut off, no matter how much my guests, I would leave my guests sitting, waiting 10 minutes while I'm trying to restart my computer. I kept going. And I was like, God, I'm not, this is a mistake. And I'm not going to delete those videos. I want people to see that it wasn't easy, right? I want them to see that it's not different for me, right?
Yep.
It was me being persistent and me getting the knowledge, getting the mentorship and learning from other people and say, how can I do this better? I'm not looking at, my pride is not there and like, oh, I can't learn from them because, they're going to try to take my idea, No, when you have a relationship with God and he's constantly downloading stuff, you don't have to worry about nobody taking nothing, because let me tell you something. You are not without lack. You are not without ideas. Let me tell you something. Somebody tried some years ago to take my idea, and God literally, and in my mind, I was just like, well, God will give me another one,
Yep.
and they were like, no, you got to fight for which I'm like, I work for a limit. I got a limitless God, so it's like, he'll take, if they want to take that. Now I look at myself as a resource. So it's like, how can I help you? How can I help you? That's why I bring people on my podcast. No matter, they don't have to be great. They don't have to. Sometimes I bring people on the podcast, they ain't even started their book yet, right? To motivate them. When I first started this thing out, I used to have a show called Dinner with the Coaches on Sundays. Bring up people that were trying to start, because sometimes you just need the environment. You need to get in the environment with other people to be able to get encouraged and say, okay, you know what? Maybe I don't have it all the way there yet. Maybe I can learn from this person. And that's what I did. That's what I do. I get people on and I motivate them. Talk about your book, because now people are going to be, if you didn't do it like what you do, I'll help them. And sometimes wouldn't even charge for it, because it was like, because I know if I help you, you're going to remember me, right? You're going to look back and you're going to be like, man, if you have an attitude of gratitude, you're going to look back and say, man, if I wouldn't have been here, if Nadira didn't do that, if she didn't do that, just like with you, you've encouraged me in the short times that we've interacted with one another. I never forgot the nuggets, and I don't take, even when I'm in your presence, when we are around each other, I'm always listening. And
Yeah.
I'm making, and I listen with the mindset of, I don't know if I'm ever going to get that access again. Right.
Right. Right.
And when you treat people like that, then I think what happens is you learn to appreciate and value the stuff that they give you.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely. So I'm just like, Dr. Pitts, I could talk to you all day. I'll tell you, you have really just, it's like, you know how you be around people and they just stir up stuff on
Yeah.
the inside of you. And I love that, because I can promise you, by the time we get off this thing, I'm probably going to be at my computer doing something else, and I love being around people that's why I wanted to create like an entrepreneur table, like, because I think entrepreneurs can stimulate one another. You know what I'm saying? When you start to bounce off, you might have been fearful. Maybe I want to write a book, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know where to start. You may not have thousands of dollars, because some people charge, astronomical amounts of money to be able to start it. And it's neither good or bad, because everybody's value is different.
Right.
But I think when we get around other people and we do things like this, create, having conversations, it might encourage somebody to say, hey, maybe I need to just step forth. Maybe I need to do this. If you're watching and you have an idea, you have something that you want to do, just step out on faith, get around people that can motivate you and stimulate you and help you and give you strategy, because Dr. Pitt's giving strategy. This is what you do, right? That's important, because if you don't have strategy, then all you have is just an idea. And we know, ideas don't just manifest themselves. You have to do the work. Entrepreneurship is not for the faint at heart.
No, it is not. It definitely is not.
Definitely. Did you have any final words, Dr. Pitts, that you wanted to, because I know, you're a busy man. I know you're probably exhausted, and I want to respect your time. Do you have any final words that you want to say to our listening audience that can help them in becoming a kingdom entrepreneur?
Absolutely. I'm going to give you guys 5 quick tips. The first one is own your story, right? Your journey, failures, wins, lessons, they all have value. Don't be afraid to share it. Why? Because someone needs to hear your realness and understand that, okay, I'm on the right path, right? It's not going to be all lilies and flowers at the beginning. It's going to be rough. It's going to be tough. It's going to have those things, right? So own your story. The second tip is watch this, build multiple streams of value. Build multiple streams of value, because when you build value creates income. Understand it? So when they say multiple streams of income, no, it's multiple streams of value, because when you create value, it gives you unlimited access to income, right? So don't just rely on one source. You can take the one thing that you do and create the 7 streams with that one thing. You don't have to always start 7 businesses, right? The one thing you have, you can create 7 streams just with that one thing, right? Hone in and find out how to do that, but make sure that you build multiple streams of value. The third tip is, again, like I told you guys earlier, embrace collaboration over competition. Like I said to you guys before, have Nadara's book. Here is my book and Chosen's book here, right? This is what you call collaboration. Learn how to collaborate and not compete. All right, that's your third one. The fourth one is prioritize your mental and spiritual health. It is very, very important, guys. Listen, one of the things that I do on Saturdays, I detach from the world.
I love
email,
that.
No phone calls, no Facebook, no social media. I literally detach myself from the world. Why? Because when I detach, I reset, right? I reset to restart, to rebuild. I do that every Saturday. You owe it to yourself to prioritize your mental and your spiritual health, okay? And then last but not least, take action imperfectly. Don't worry about being perfect, guys. Let go of the imperfections, right? Let go of the imperfections immediately. Why? Because as you go, you grow. So anything I would love to leave you guys with is my quote, my famous quote, which is coming together is the beginning, sticking together is progress, but us all working together, that and only that is success. So Nadara, thank you for this amazing time, this platform. in your podcast, and I wish nothing but the best. I hope that this thing blows up to the masses.
Yes.
Massive platform, right? So God knows God is with you. God is going to do all of amazing things in your life and your business.
Thank you.
And I just hope that you continue to keep going. Don't give up. Don't stop. Don't quit. So thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And there you have it. That was so rich. I felt like I just had the knife and fork. I felt like I just ate a spiritual steak. I am so grateful. Thank you so much, Dr. Pitts, for all that you contribute to the entrepreneurship community. And I'm sure all the people that are watching that know you appreciate your presence and all the things that you contribute. If you would like to be a guest here on Sisterhood Check-In, make sure you send me an inbox. If you're watching me on Facebook, you can send me an inbox. If you're watching me on any of the other platforms, just send me an inbox. I would love to be able to share your story and how you contribute to entrepreneurship or just your life in general. I would love to be able to share your story and see the things that God has done in your life so that you can encourage us. Because I always say that it's not that hurt people, just like hurt people, healed people can heal people too, right? So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure if you haven't done so yet, make sure you go to get my book, Essence of a Woman. It's you can get it on at www.coachingwithnadira.com. It's an app. You can go to the books and journal section and you'll see all of the books and journals that I've created. Thank you so much. And you can see everything else that I do. All of the books and resources are there for you. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next week. Have an amazing day. Make sure you share the broadcast with somebody that you know needs to hear this. I'll see you next week.
Nadira speaks, her voice carves the air. Proverbs painting pictures, stories laid bare. She moves mountains with the flick of a prayer. Lessons of the word.
The oil of joy, let it cover my soul. Let the scent of redemption make my heart whole. I wear His promise. I wear His peace, the essence of a woman, bold, yeah, me. Oh, the oil of joy is the fragrance of me.
Rise so high in the middle.